Wrestling fans, it's another week, another day, another episode of the Shadow Shoot Shot. You got your guy, the Shadow, you got Mr. Storm, and we're doing it once again. Once again, we're doing it. And there's a lot of things going on in the world of professional wrestling. And so um, uh, a lot of different news things and subjects and stuff like that. But I wanted to pinpoint on one particular subject to start things off with, and that is Lucha Underground. There's a big cult following of wrestling fans that know and heard of and has followed the Lucha Underground. It was started partnered with some wrestling retired wrestlers or older wrestlers and Robert Rodriguez.
Mhm.
Robert Rodriguez, one of the big time producers, man. He's done some great movies and everything else like that and stuff. And I think that this was a great opportunity to see how a producer, a director, a writer would come into the world of professional wrestling and highlight his talents. I thought that Lucha Underground was a fantastic organization, a fantastic product and brand. They deliver things on levels like no other. Their promos, their video packaging, the intros, and everything was really cool. And it was like I think it was in Bell. Is it Hacienda Heights or somewhere in that area in
Yeah.
California, in
Mhm.
like an old like warehouse that was turned into this arena. It had different levels for the fans to sit, and then this lower level was where the wrestling ring was. So it was really cool because the guys could like wrestle, jump off the balcony, and do all kinds of crazy shit. It was kind of like ECW and the ECW arena, but bigger. And production quality was there on point. The character development was there on point, and they had specific set storylines. They had groups, factions, and good guys, bad guys, faces, and heels. And what was it, the Lucha Dragon? There was like this dragon guy with this whole big dragon mask and stuff. And there were a lot of great talents, like Johnny, what do they call him now? Johnny TV, who's in AEW. He was there, and a lot of other guys and stuff. But one person in specific that I wanted to mention was Chavo Guerrero Jr. Chavo Jr. was one of the producers of that show. And again, it was a fantastic show. And the reason why I'm bringing all this up and on the whole front was because WWE was looking to purchase Lucha Underground, purchase this library, and then they kind of pulled out. So at this point now, Tony Khan has mentioned, or it has been said that Tony Khan wanted to purchase Lucha Underground himself because there's some WWE stars there now. That was there that are in WWE, and there are some stars. There are several stars that were in Lucha Underground that are currently in AEW. So the library itself could offer like good quality promotional packaging of characters, introductions, and things of that nature. But the key thing that I want to hit on was that I think that if Tony Khan, and that's a big if, purchased Lucha Underground, and it comes with that arena, you want to build your next NXT. This would be an opportunity for him to like really dig in and have it featured at that same location every week, television taping, just like NXT, and start to build and groom new stars. A training ground for these guys, a training ground where you could develop characters, you can develop talent, where they could learn how to be good wrestlers if they need that training. They can learn how to cut good promos. They can learn how to wrestle in the ring, basically, and then you can just create and build new stars. I think that that's one of the elements as we talked about before with WCW. WCW failed. One of the biggest reasons was the question mark on like who killed WCW.
Mhm.
It was Bischoff. It was the NWO. It was the whole premise of the reason why WCW failed was they did not ever build new stars. When they went to war with Vince McMahon did one thing. Said, I'm going to build brand new stars. I don't need those guys. I can create new ones. And he did. And he created an opportunity for guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin, who left WCW, came to WWE, and became one of the biggest stars ever. Jericho, Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, all the guys that people like Kevin Nash in particular said were too small, too little. Rey Mysterio. Um, these are the guys that never got a real opportunity in WCW other than a cruiserweight title and became world champions. So I think with Lucha Underground, there's an opportunity to really just take something and grow. Now, the Tech Master had mentioned, it's like, well, what did he do with Ring of Honor? Yeah, that's a good question. They basically just kind of took their talent and put the Ring of Honor belts on them, and now they got like 50 belts in AEW. Not a good move. Honestly, I thought that they should have taken that Saturday show Collision and made that Ring of Honor and just let the TV flow like that and build your up and coming talent on the Ring of Honor show. If they were to buy Lucha Underground, I would suggest that they make that their Saturday Lucha Underground Collision, or whatever you want to call it, and stuff, and then just start showcasing, highlighting a lot of the indie wrestlers and a lot of up and coming talent that you want to build and you see being superstars. And WWE is really good at intermixing guys from the SmackDown roster and the Raw roster. They come back to NXT. They start to put over some of the young talent or the new talent and stuff when they get ready to go on to the big shows. Now look at Dragunov in himself. Dragunov, he was NXT champion. He did really well there, and now he's in on Monday Night Raw. He had a fantastic match with who was it? Jey Uso. Oh man, it was fantastic, and I really want to see Dragunov in the Imperium, if you ask me. But that's just one of the points of being. It's like you can create and build stars. That's how the business continues to grow. The business grows by being able to introduce new stars that appeal to the fans and the fans can gravitate towards and stuff. If you don't do that,
But
it's
Shadow,
longevity.
let's be honest. Tony
Mhm.
Khan doesn't do that with his existing stars now. Do you
True.
trust him to take over something like Underground and not actually just bury it like Ring of Honor? Because I don't think he has the capacity to understand the allure with that show and what he could do, globally. Because we all know that, luchadors are not only big in South America, but over in Spain. So, do you trust him to do it?
Well, no. And the solution to that is
Okay.
that if he's at some point becomes smart enough to know that like I need help or I need to bring on
Hmm.
right talent to run things, I would say you bring on Chavo Guerrero Jr. and you let Chavo run that show. Let him work with Robert Rodriguez and have Robert Rodriguez even come in and produce the big shows, the big events and stuff like that, the once a month or every quarter or whatever it is. But you have Chavo in charge of Lucha Underground and let him build the talent because there's a legacy there, And of course, most people know, and if people don't know, that's tuning in for the very first time. I was trained by Chavo's uncle, Armando Guerrero, one of the famous Guerrero families. If people don't know the Guerrero family, I think I mentioned in the first show, is the Guerreros were some of the greatest wrestler family in the history and stuff. People who've seen the movie The Claw, where you saw the Von Erichs,
Hmm.
the Guerreros were right there with the Von Erichs. I think that there is a legacy there that you can build with, and there is a talent. You're talking about generational talent that can train new talent, and Mondo trained me and several other guys and stuff. So and that brings me to a story. I'll throw an
Okay.
early story in.
All right.
Um, when I was working the indies and I was wrestling less and kind of doing some promotions and stuff, and I worked with this guy. He was a retired police officer that loved wrestling, so he wanted to put on the show. So we did the show at this Boys and Girls Club of America, and we came in to do the show and stuff. And then he was like, "Yeah, I was basically working with him to like book the show." So we brought on, of course, several of my close friends and stuff were guys that I worked with: Luis Piccoli, Stephen DeLeon, Ricky Ataki, and working with Jesse Hernandez. And then here came Chavo Guerrero Sr. He came in with Chavito Guerrero, and he hadn't had his first match yet. And he brought him to the show, and we were talking and everything. I was like, "Yo, man, yeah, hey, absolutely, we'll put Chavito on the show, no problem, absolutely, yeah." And then for whatever reason, And Chavo probably, I don't know why or what his mood was. He was not in like the greatest mood, and so you're talking about two Latinos coming together because the retired sheriff was a Latino, and then of course Chavo. Chavo came in, and I guess when they shook hands, Chavo said something to him, and then the sheriff guy said, "Hey, I don't like this Chavo guy, and his son can't be on the show." And I was like, "Bro, but look, this is for me. Can you do this? Can we do it?" He says, "No, no, no, no. If he wasn't here, I'd probably say yes, but." And that kind of like ruined that moment for Chavito to get that his first match, man. And I wanted to like have that story to be able to tell. It's like, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I got it in one of his first matches, blah blah blah. But that didn't happen. But of course, Chavo went on to be a
Of
very
course.
successful wrestler.
Well,
He had a great stint in WCW.
let me ask you something. Why do you think that? Because again, they just did this movie about the Von Erichs, and
Mhm.
everybody was claiming that, and we've seen other wrestling families, like there's the hearts that they constantly say about the training. How come the Guerreros don't get the appreciation across the industry and also across mainstream that you think they deserve? What's going on with that? You think there's a little bit of slight for that, or what?
Yeah, yeah. It goes back to like you have to think of like when the Guerrero family wrestled. They weren't the tallest wrestlers in the industry. I think Mondo was like 5'6", 5'7".
Mm-hmm.
Chavo about the same. Hector was the tallest. Hector was like maybe 5'8".
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're famous for the Gory Guerrero. He was short too. So back in the 70s and 80s, and if you were under 5'8", you
Mm-hmm.
weren't going to get not honestly. If you were under 6 feet tall, you weren't going to get a big push. You were going to be a mid carder. You were going to be a jobber. And as good as and as talented as the Guerrero family was in America,
Mm-hmm.
they just would not get the big world championship matches and stuff until Eddie came along.
Exactly.
But it
Mm-hmm.
it took it took you know Mondo, Chavo, Hector, it took all of them to like really just like blow people away in their matches and stuff to like really get an opportunity to just show that like, yo, we have the talent. Of course, you had the luchadors that came in years later and stuff, but it
Mm-hmm.
was the Guerreros at the front line of things for decades, for years, that really were the guys that like made everybody look good. And what was the best thing about them was and how he would train me was like the best wrestlers are the wrestlers that can make bad wrestlers look good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a talent that like very few people have and stuff. It's like when you always have that tough guy that you put the guys in the ring and see if they can hang, but
Exactly.
there's very few guys that could get into the ring and make somebody look good. And I'll use someone as an example because as much as I did not like his personality, he's
Mm-hmm.
one of the greatest wrestlers ever, and that's Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels can make you look fantastic in the ring, or he can make you look like a damn clown. Biggest thought was when he wrestled Hulk Hogan, and Hulk
Mm-hmm.
Hogan threw that brother punch, and then Shawn Michaels took a bump and fell back, flew up in the air, and then jumped over the ring, and it was like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, it's
So
not doing too
there's
much.
he did like way too much. It's like Hogan wants you to sell, but it's like Shawn Michaels will oversell and make you look real stupid. But there was a talent with the Guerrero family that they could
Hmm.
make guys look, man, like the stiffest guys could look like fantastic wrestlers and stuff. And that translated when in the WCW days when Chavo Jr. wrestled in WCW, he was able to break that ceiling and stuff because of his popularity. He had the little wooden horse, and he would run
Hmm.
around in it, and it was a gimmick, but it was like a cool gimmick because it was kind of like your training in wrestling when you would have to wrestle a broom. And training back in the day, it would be like, okay, I want to see a match, you in a broom, because you have to put on one of these epic matches with a stick, and you had to sell for it too, So I think when Chavo added that, I
Uh-huh.
don't think people really appreciated like what he was doing. He was doing something really fantastic and genius that very few people have done, So there's been a few people in the indies that done this type of gimmick with other things like a doll, a real doll, or whatever. But like
Hmm.
for Chavo to take that. that the wooden horse and do that, man. It was fantastic. And him excelling in WWE as well. Him and Eddie winning the tag team
Hmm.
championships,
Hmm.
man. That was it was a fantastic thing. So saying all that just to say that I really do believe that if you take somebody like Chavo and you let him run Lucha Underground, then you have some magic. And I won't just say that with Lucha Underground. It's like Chavo's the type of person that you want to bring to AEW and
Hmm.
let him start like booking matches and start booking matches and feuds and everything I like creative, being part of creative for that company so that they can get something new, something authentic, something that has legacy, something that has storytelling that goes along with it. And I think
Hmm.
that that's the thing that's missing in most wrestling these days and stuff. But you know, we'll wait to see. If
Yeah.
it does happen, what he does with it. He has trashed Ring of Honor on a lot
Mm.
of levels and stuff. So Tony Khan, we'll see
I,
what you do.
I know the Tech Master would definitely agree with you on that one.
Yeah, yes, he would definitely. It's interesting. It's interesting to talk about it, and it's interesting to hear other people's
Hmm.
opinions about it,
Sure.
and just on like how someone could have something on this level. Television, prime time, everything, 2, 3 nights out of the week,
Hmm.
and you can't hire the right people to come in
Hmm.
and do it. Man, I don't get it sometimes, but
And that leads us into, especially when you talk about other people's perspective. If you do like the show and the content that Shadow's pumping out here, make sure that you like and subscribe, but most of all, comment, because that's definitely what keeps the videos going. And Shadow will answer some of those questions. Now, since we've gotten to that, I know the WWE, one of the main topics that we were rolling through is the bloodline. So
yeah.
let's get your thoughts on the bloodline. What do you think? First of all, when you think Roman Reigns, if he's coming back, when he's coming back, and how do you see the bloodline proceeding at this point now? And are you excited by what the bloodline is doing currently right now?
Well, I will say this. This is probably some of the best storyline I've seen in years, probably in a decade. I can't even go back 10 years or 5 years and say, man, this is the great storyline. Not since like Stone Cold and Triple H or The Rock and Stone Cold and Triple H and The Rock. Not since then have we seen like really good storylines. The
Mhm.
bloodline thing is like you looked at WrestleMania and said, okay, that's it, it's over, it's done. Okay, we're moving on. Nah, this was like just the beginning of something that's becoming epic. And I think the beautiful part about it is about creating new characters, building new superstars. And
Mhm.
yeah, the people, Tommy Tonga and those other guys that are coming in, they're in their late 30s. So it's not like they're creating new stars with them. They're just
Mhm.
bringing in solid talent that's related to the Samoan family. But Solo, this guy,
Mhm.
like for what, over a year, 2 years, we've seen this guy just in the background, get in the ring, wrestle stuff, beat up people and everything. But like, can he talk? He's got the swagger. He can talk. He can work. He can build. I mean, this kid has it all. Yeah, he's second, third, fourth, fifth generation wrestler.
Mhm.
So yeah, you expect it, but you don't always get what you expect because, like, look
Exactly.
at Bronny James. You look at Bronny James and you say everybody's expecting so much for this kid. I feel bad for Bronny James. They're expecting him to become a Laker, and it's like, yeah, calm down. He's not ready. He needs to go. He needs to go to the G League for probably a year or two. Even if he does. But when it comes to Solo, he's there. He's in. And the people that bring it in, they're not like coming to NXT and they coming in. No, they're ready to go. And that's one of the pluses. The second plus is Paul Heyman.
Mhm.
If I would say this right now, and this is the God's honest truth. If there was ever a time where, for the first time ever, the WWE would win an Emmy, it would be for Paul Heyman's performance. He is playing at another, like, we always knew that Paul Heyman was already there, but
Exactly.
like he's
Mhm.
taking it up another level as the scared wise man. You can't control him. He doesn't know what to do. He hasn't talked to Roman, and his mannerisms and his responses to everything and stuff, and just him just walking by Jay Uso last Monday or the Monday before that,
Mhm.
and just looked at him and he was just scared and sad and stuff like he was held hostage. Paul
Mhm.
Heyman is putting on a performance, man, that like would put anyone over just being a part of it. And I would say honestly, if they were to give out an Emmy, I would give it to Paul Heyman
Mhm.
right now in WWE roster because this guy is fantastic right now. Solo is fantastic. What they're building and doing is fantastic. And I think that the key element is the build because the fans are already chanting, "We want Roman, we want Roman." So for or when Roman Reigns returns, it's going to be epic because the only thing that everyone's going to be saying is, "Oh shit," because you want to know what's getting ready to happen next. And if you ask me when Roman is going to return or should return,
Yeah.
I would say SummerSlam. SummerSlam is when, get the bells ringing and get
Mhm.
the rumor mill running and stuff as you get closer and closer to SummerSlam. And then maybe even I would even like spread social media with Roman Reigns at the gym, Roman Reigns
Mhm.
over here, Roman Reigns getting his gear and stuff. Roman Reigns in the background is that Roman and stuff, and just build towards Roman's return. And then whatever match it is with Solo and the Bloodline, Roman appears at the end of the show, and it will be one of the biggest Monday Night Raw ratings the next day.
Mhm.
Roman's return is going to be epic, and he's going to be one of the biggest faces in the history of WWE when he returns. He's going to be so freaking over, man. It's going to be ridiculous.
Well, let me ask you something. Why return? You don't think he's going to take a sabbatical on the Rock and take a shot at Hollywood right now? At the height of his success, here's a guy that has a shoe line, which we've never seen a wrestler with his own
Yeah,
shoe line. Isn't
yeah.
now the time, like the prime time for him to do like his other family member, The Rock, and just
Mhm.
seize Hollywood and maybe start building into that, maybe taking maybe a couple of years off, building up his hype in Hollywood, and then do like the way The Rock returned and just go back into WWE, or you think that he's doesn't have that ambition to get that far, and he really just sees himself in the WWE?
I say this. I know, well, I've read that Roman, Seth Rollins, and The Rock, and I don't know if The Rock is involved, but I know Roman and Seth Rollins are supposed to be involved in a big time movie, big time producer,
Mm-hmm.
big time director. So they're going to be in a film. Um, and yeah, shoot for 6 to 8 weeks. So like he could do a film in these next couple of months. Hopefully the scheduling permits, or even if he takes a break and makes an appearance at
Mm-hmm.
SummerSlam and then goes back and finish filming, and then he's back, full time. But yeah, definitely Roman is he's he's peaked. And now he's taking it to the next level. I mean, like you see guys peak and then they're done, but like Roman is at a level now to where it's like he still has gas in the tank, and he's
Mm-hmm.
going to come back and have some of the biggest storylines in WWE history. So I definitely see him returning and stuff. And then, of course, yeah, what is the greatest platform for these guys? You look at Cena, you look at The Rock,
Mm-hmm.
Roman returns, and then they start marketing and promoting his tennis shoe, his Nike tennis shoe,
Mm-hmm.
and all his gear and everything and stuff. A great platform for him to sell more merchandise and sell a bunch of stuff, man. And
Well,
it's like I've never seen any wrestlers selling Nikes or any wrestling thing selling Nikes at their
exactly. That's a huge deal because we all know that The Rock has his Under Armour deal,
yeah,
but I don't even think The Rock has his own shoe over there. I could be wrong,
no,
but
no,
I know for Nike, that's like you're taking serious sports. Like the professional wrestling movement now has moved into a serious arena because they give like you get Nikes where you have Serena Williams or you have like Michael Jordan or LeBron James or somebody. They just don't give out Nikes like candy.
no,
So
no. And
they
that,
saw
yeah, you're
something
right.
in Roman that
Yeah.
they probably never seen in another athlete before, and it's actually cool because the shoes are fantastic. I'm sure you saw those designs, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
I love them.
those.
Hey, I look. I don't. I spend like no more than $50 on shoes.
Yeah.
That's it. But you look at Roman shoes and you just say, man, and I got family members that collects Nikes, and
Yeah.
so I am certain that they're going to be like, he'll purchase two and he'll put one away, and then
Yeah.
he'll rock them every once in a while and stuff. So
Yeah, we
yeah,
might
I can
have to
see that
purchase
happening.
that. We might have to purchase that for the show, man.
Yeah, WWE, if you listening, send us a pair. Send us a, I'm size 12. You a size what? 15?
16, brother.
16, send us some Roman shoes for real, But no, I look at this man and I say this is next level, and
Hmm.
there's a Swerve Strickland in AEW, he
Mm-hmm.
has his own shoe, but it's his own brand, his own shoe that was custom made or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool and everything. But like, Tony Khan, bro, your daddy owns the Jaguars. Start looking at things like that, but you gotta up your game, up your product. WWE is at that level to where it's like now you can start bringing in other brands for
Mm-hmm.
other
Mm-hmm.
talents.
True.
Like, what would Becky Lynch wear? What would Rhea Ripley wear? You know what I mean? There's
Mm-hmm.
this the sky's the limit.
That's got to be the TKO connection. Them
Oh
being
yeah,
agents in Hollywood and everything, you're starting to see the multi-company scenarios. I think the only reason why WWE is keeping the Pauls around is because of their extra outside curricular with Prime Energy, Jink, and everything else. It's incredibly intelligent. It's
yeah,
like you
yeah,
move into the point of more licensing, bigger companies, not just the small ones. You're not
yeah.
going to see the Slim Jims anymore. You're probably going to see, like, again, you're looking at
Hmm.
Nike, maybe Louis Vuitton or something. I'm sure with that Hollywood connection. Now that leads us back to the Hollywood connection. Do you think that you're going to see Roman Reigns first, or do you think you're going to see The Rock's return first?
That's a good question because you are in a scenario to where it is just like if you had The Rock come in first and say
Mm-hmm.
he's the tribal chief, and then Roman come in and say, "What's going on? What are you doing here?" It's like, "Well, I'm the people," because they said that The Rock is returning with the People's Championship and he's gonna
Mm-hmm.
like defend it.
Mm-hmm.
So what if he said, "I'm the People's Champ. I am the blood," and then they start their feud. So there's a lot of angles, and here's the key: Solo never said that he is the tribal chief.
Mm-hmm.
He said the tribal chief said. And then he said Roman said, he talked to Roman, but he didn't specifically say Roman, the tribal chief, told him.
True.
So could it be The Rock running all this game?
Exactly.
And then here was another question, but after the French thing,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that's not going to happen. Was what if Jay Uso was the tribal chief
Mm-hmm.
doing all of this? But that's not happening because
Mm-hmm.
after his entrance in France and all the lights and the cell
Wow.
phone lights and
Yeah.
everything, that was the most epic thing I've ever seen. So,
Mm-hmm.
like seeing this guy do his thing, man, is just like, wow, he has arrived. And the only problem right now is that I think that they're going to probably make Sami Zayn the sacrificial lamb to Jey Uso
Probably so.
at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to build up to SummerSlam, and Jey Uso will get his first singles title as the IC champion. I think,
Well,
honestly.
here's the thing. I got to think that if they do bring The Rock back, Roman comes back, I think it's going to be the build-up that was supposed to be at this year's WrestleMania.
Oh yeah,
It will
oh yeah,
build that whole thing up for the feud that they wanted to have this year into 2025 for
yeah,
that WrestleMania, The Rock versus Roman Reigns. And you've
yeah.
got
And
Under Armour versus Nike.
yeah, yeah. And I hope that it's a slow build. I hope that they build this all the way to WrestleMania. I
Mhm.
think that that's the key. And like I said, my expectation is for him to return. At SummerSlam. I don't think he should be off TV for more than
No.
3 months, and then come back and just start building this stuff. So. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And then, on this WWE subject, the last one was we wanted to run on the King of the Ring, the King and Queen of the Ring. Okay, yeah.
I can already
Yeah.
tell that you don't like this idea.
Well, I know that it is, they have to be inclusive, and
Of
the
course.
women's division is growing and it's doing very well. They've got a lot of great female talent there in WWE. They've introduced some new talent from NXT to Raw and SmackDown, and so there has to be that space. First time ever. Just like they have the North American title, that's females North American title that they're building towards. So in general, I think that the King of the Ring has always been an opportunity since I say Stone Cold. When Stone Cold did that speech, Austin 316, and
Hmm.
then he just skyrocketed, I think that that's been the build. And I think that the one element of it is that we have not seen that moment or that rise of a star since
Hmm.
then. People have gotten some notoriety, but no one has risen as like the next level since Stone Cold. But there's one guy that I think that's still in the tournament that I think could possibly have that Stone Cold moment, and that is LA Knight.
Okay.
He's a throwback. He's a ruthless aggression throwback, and like him winning the King of the Ring, him going up against Gunther, beating Gunther, and solidifying that he is a top tier superstar and
Mm-hmm.
becoming the King of the Ring. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that he could create a moment because the guy can talk his ass off. I think he could create that moment like a Stone Cold. And it'd be interesting to see if WWE goes in that direction and see what they do with LA Knight. Yeah,
Well, I know
we'll
that
see.
again, it's usually the point where you want to give someone the star that you think is going to go to that next level, give him that good push, and I think that would be a perfect opportunity
Hmm.
for LA Knight and the guy's the future right now, and they've been doing a great job, and also the same way too. I think Uso is also and 100% a star now. I think he's
Hmm.
getting to up to The Rock and Roman Reigns. He's pushing that up to that level because you're right at Backlash. I don't think I've ever seen that for. It was almost like a rock star that came out, not just a wrestler. Like that was
Yeah,
wild. His the way the
yeah,
audience embraced him with the cell phones. It was one of the craziest things that I
yeah.
think I have
It
ever
was,
witnessed. You know, very Undertaker-ish.
yeah,
All right. Well, like I said again, one of the main things we want to know that make sure that your comments are in. If you want to ask Shadow any questions
yeah.
or anything, make sure you throw them in. Like and subscribe. Anything else for us, Shadow?
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to what's that? Team Watson. Team Watson Boxing.
Okay.
That's a shout out to Team Watson. My guy T Keith Wax. Team Watson is Sam Watson is one of the biggest promoters in boxing. His family, his twin sons, they run boxing. They manage Mayweather. And they manage a lot of great fighters and stuff. So it's always the Saturday night boxing on Showtime and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
just giving a shout out, wearing the gear and stuff, and representing and stuff. So yeah, just shout out to them. But we love boxing, we love wrestling, we love sports. Let's go.
Absolutely. All right. Well, like I said, for the Shadow Man, I'm Alexander Storm. Thank you for watching the Shadow Shoot Short. If you want to catch any of his other episodes, it's on all podcast platforms on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, even iHeartMusic. So can't wait to see you for the next one, brother. Let's do it. Have a good week,
Yeah.
man.
All right, and as always, tune in if you got the guts.